core of, of raising children or loving children from their early years on, there's a need to be touched. There's a need to have a positive attention brought to them. There's a need for support and teaching. And that's really all this is. It's kind of like saying yes to your parent is really what the way I look at it, that saying yes to Jesus is saying yes to Creator God, that you want to identify with his gifts of himself and his life and his creation. And when you do, you just become like one of the family, so to speak. Does that mean you start walking on water and healing the sick and speaking words of wisdom and just transforming all natural law wherever you go because you've now identified with the supernatural? No, but we shouldn't think that we can't. And the only reason we think that we can't is because we've sort of been patterned into this kind of mindset that questions the supernatural rather than inviting it as part of life itself. Just look at it as, we think of miracles. I know people often say, well, it's a miracle enough that, I have this beautiful child. Not really. I guess in the core of it, I guess I could see what you're saying, like, how could I have this beautiful child? What's not miraculous about it? It's just, I guess what I'm saying is there's more of a you can make more of a defense that a beautiful child is not a miraculous event than you could that it is. And by that I mean miracles by definition should be outside of the natural laws of physics. So as much as I understand the beauty of a child, the beauty of their inner being, the beauty of their love of life and their innocent heart and their adventurous spirit, that's all just absolutely lovely. I could bask in that all the days of my life. In fact, that's what I'm trying to do by bringing my attention to God, is actually becoming sort of a tangible model of that love of life, like a child can so effortlessly express, that we as adults seem to struggle to even become a small reflection of. Children can do it just almost effortlessly because of the beauty and the innocence of their spirit. That's a beautiful, wonderful thing of life, but it's not miraculous. Miraculous is, the child has cancer and there's no hope for them, and for no apparent reason, all of a sudden their cells are regenerating and they're on the mend, and nobody has any explanation for it. That's miraculous. And that's what I believe that we need to become more expecting of. Because that, I believe, is the life of God in the world, is for the supernatural to be manifest. Now, why do I say that? Why isn't it enough that the life of God is just the transference or I won't say transference of love from one to another. Why isn't that enough of God? Well, I would agree with you that, yeah, that is enough. But it's my personal belief that's not accurate. God is beyond just, love of one to another. Yes, I know in the scriptures it says God is love. But God is more than love. God is love. Yes, God is more than love. Why? Because we have so many examples since the passing of Jesus of people's lives being miraculously regenerated simply by submitting to his position as the mediator between God and man. We have so many lives in the last 2,000 plus years that have been miraculously transformed as a result of submitting to him as mediator between God and man, that we have that evidence that it's not just love, it's more than that. So you'd say, well, what kind of evidence are you talking about? Well, in my own life, I just have to speak from my own experience. I had an experience of almost like instantaneous transformation the day I was in Berklee College of Music in 1977 in a dorm room with some other Christians, and they were talking to me about Jesus, and I just said, I accept you, Jesus, for who you are. I ask your forgiveness for my sins. I ask that you enter my heart and be my Lord. And almost instantaneously, I had just like this overwhelming elation come over me, and like sort of superpower energizing spirit in me that just changed my attitude. I felt like a new person. Everything was good. Everything was happy. I was connected to God. I mean, it was just amazing the way it occurred so quickly. And I know there's people out there who can certainly share similar things. And that doesn't mean it has to happen that way. But the fact that it does happen and has happened so frequently, and not only in the initial conversion experience, but also then throughout one's life at various stages and phases, that same kind of life-giving presence sort of like comes to you, in sort of this comforting love to support and surround you with goodness and instill you with a kind of a vigorous life bubbling presence that clearly it's not coming from me. I could barely get out of bed and clip some coupons to save myself from some money. I can't even get myself to do the smallest little thing. I'm gonna like create this like life changing force in me that now is like permeated my entire life since, that I can't get away from. I was like somehow brainwashed into accepting some foolish idea of needing Jesus to be connected to God, that now it's like transform my life. I mean, that's just illogical. I mean, I personally can't muster that up. Like I said, I can't muster up enough willpower to clip coupons to save myself money. How am I going to regenerate my very being to the point of transforming my life? I can't. And the fact that I'm calling out to Jesus and then experiencing that change immediately as a result, why would I think anything other than it's connected to understanding who Jesus is and submitting to his position as mediator between God and man?